All right, we're back. We're back. We weren't expecting to do this tonight, but the loss has now sunk in. We've collected ourselves, Nick. We're back to being normal human beings now. It's been a couple of hours. I've eaten a good meal. I've had some water. My cluster headache is gone, but the J season is still over. Some things don't change here. And what is going to change, hopefully, is a lot of management positions, a lot of coaching positions in the offseason, a lot of player personnel as well. I expect this offseason to be a total teardown. Now you have a lot of guys in the minor leagues as well who we'll touch on in this live stream. But yeah, we wanted to bring you guys something. Shane, let's get Caden. We wanted to bring you guys something for sure. And look, just it's not an ideal way to end the season, but we've collected our thoughts here, and hopefully we could do a better job of expressing how we feel about this Blue Jays team than we did in that 17-minute rant that we brought to you guys post game.
Yeah, we figured we'd hop on for, it won't be a long stream, a little short stream, and get everyone's thoughts. All of our supporters' thoughts. You guys are going crazy in the video we uploaded a couple hours ago. The comments are unbelievable, and we want to get a little live in. No. Well, that video goes overnight. Peter, players, coaches, all that is reacting. We're going to have videos on that tomorrow because there is more to cover than I could have ever imagined. We have, Kiermaier free agency stuff. We have everything, and we'll definitely keep you covered with that tomorrow. But for now, Peter, we lost. I still have the screenshots from earlier, so we can bring those up as we need it. I don't know. Just what can be. Atkins hasn't spoke out yet. Atkins will probably speak tomorrow or the day after. And I don't know. There's a lot we're gonna have to cover. And so stay tuned for all the videos. But Peter, we lost today. Season's over. The Diamondbacks are going on a crazy run. I don't know if they're still winning, but I appreciate it, Noah.
The Diamondbacks won.
Yeah.
They won the series. They are off to Dodger Stadium, and a shout out to Noah Sweeney, one of my good buddies over there, big fan of the channel as well. But yeah, the Diamondbacks are off. And a side note here that just to kind of turn the knife a little bit deeper in your hearts, Jays fans. Gabriel Moreno has more home runs in the playoffs than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. Kevin Biggio, if you want to add to that list, Dalton Varsho as well. And hey, man, I mean, this is the world that we're living in right now, Nick. I'm still pretty heated. I'm still pretty heated over this loss. It's going to take a while to get over. I mean, it wasn't some kind of loss that felt avoidable either. Yeah. I mean, the Jays just simply weren't good enough. They weren't good enough all season long, and that carried over into today, carried over into yesterday as well. And this is just who they are. This core has had a chance here to prove that they could be the one to lead the team to the promised land for 3 years. I mean, obviously they had that playoff. They were ousted in the playoffs against the Tampa Bay Rays in 2020, but I don't really count that. They weren't expected to be good that year. But from 2021 on, Vladdy, Bo, all those guys that they signed, I mean, they were expected to be the big time core, the one that leads.
Let's get
shout out to gaming.
Let's hold on, interrupt it. We haven't used this animation in a while. Shout out to everyone in here. What's up, Alan? We're bringing it back. Not the best. Vladdy, he hasn't really done a whole lot. Gaming, have a last beer on me. Drown your sorrows. You know I am. Yeah, we definitely need beer. We need something. It's almost 1 a.m. for me, and this day I feel like it's went over 10 times. I feel like I've been awake for 500 hours, but we wanted to bring this to you, and like we said in the video earlier. I know, Peter, you probably have a headache, but I definitely have a headache.
Not anymore.
No, I still have one. I haven't really gotten over it yet. But we're gonna have there's so much to cover, and the bright side about this is it's gonna make for a very, very exciting offseason. Changes are gonna happen. Ross might be gone. Schneider might be gone. We're gonna be covered every step of the way. Let's get gaming again. I appreciate the 20. That's very generous of you, and we haven't been live in a while, so we're gonna be going live more, especially during the offseason. My voice is gone. This is from screaming specifically when we clinched the playoffs on a loss. But Peter, what you were saying is true. It's sad. Shout out everyone here and hit the like button if you're new. But I mean, this picture, I keep going back to this picture, Peter, and this is obviously the Barrios stuff aside. We miss so many middle pitches. Sick. It's the offense. And I had the exact same picture for Pablo Lopez yesterday, and they looked very, very similar. Sonny Gray was throwing batting practice for the first 3 innings, and Buck was talking about how he was painting the corners. In between those painted corners, there were 5 pitches right down the middle. Right. Brandon Belt is you know, he struck out a good few times on his way out, and he's probably going to retire, but not reaching any wins this year. Peter, let's hear the big dog unleash. If you want to check Peter fully unleashed, go check last video.
I
We
mean,
had
I think I'm all tapped out here. I'm gonna try to keep calm in this live here, but yeah, I went pretty crazy on the post game reaction, as did Nick. I mean, Nick
I don't usually
is
do
not
that.
usually
No,
he's not one to get unhinged. I'm not either. I think I'd like to say I'm pretty level headed. I get fired up,
we
I get
both got amped up.
animated, but I love this team. I love this
Yeah,
team. And I don't usually just bash them full on. I don't go crazy on them, but I feel like today was one of those
too many
days, and
mistakes.
I went, I did that. I did that.
Too many mistakes,
Yeah.
and like looking back at it, and I've talked to my friends a little bit about it, and ultimately we think back to the start of the season, and I still think that, and I might get not flamed for this, but I still think Ross Atkins' process and the moves he did in the offseason were correct. Everyone underperformed. What happened in between to make them underperform, the coaches, whatever. I think at this point, out of principle, you need to fire at the very least the hitting coaches. I think that's an absolute given. Like, there's no way they don't fire the hitting coaches. John Schneider, on the other hand, Peter, I know this is going to be a hot topic. We're going to have a video on it tomorrow. We're going to have it this week as well. Do you think John Schneider, let's just get our prediction in now, and then we'll come back to this maybe in a live stream in a couple weeks. They're not going to fire him until the playoffs are over, at the very least, I wouldn't
Mhm.
assume. Do you think John Schneider is going, and chat, let us know as well in the chat saying yes or no. Do you think John Schneider, oh, and very interesting, do you think John Schneider is or is not going to be the manager of the Toronto Blue Jays March 31st, assuming that's opening day 2024? Peter, yes? No? I'll give you mine.
Darko
What's up,
Rajakovic.
man?
That's funny. I mean, new Raptors coach. Shout out to him.
So do you
Hopefully, the
think,
Raptors
yeah.
suffer a better fate than the Blue Jays did. But at this point in time, Nick, I think yes.
What
I
was the
think
question? Did I say
yes.
he will get
And
fired or he will be on the team?
oh, well, I think he will stick as the
Okay,
manager. And the reason
I agree.
why I'm saying this is because John Schneider bows down to management. And that's not a bad thing. I
Most of
mean,
them do these
if your
days.
job is on the if your job is on the line, I mean, let's put it in like simple work terms. Let's say you work at McDonald's, or you're working in the front as a clerk. Your manager tells you to go take out the trash, and he advised you an hour before your shift that you're going to have to be taking out the trash, and you say no. You might be out of the
Yep.
job by the time you clock out, and it works the same way when it comes to professional baseball, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but that's the world that we're living in, and we all ripped on John Schneider. He's going to be the fall guy for this move that was made today, but I ultimately don't think that it was his move, at least not entirely. Maybe he had a part to play in it, but I'm not convinced that it was solely him that decided to take out Jose Barrios in the third
And
inning,
that's something I
fourth
meant
inning.
to say in the reaction, or at the very least, we'll discuss tomorrow when we go over all these reactions, especially the way John Schneider said. And I was telling this to my buddy as well on the way home. I think, regardless, I agree with you. I think John Schneider stays at the very least at the start of this. Shout out Matt for renewing a member. You can become a member and check out all the perks. We have a lot of members, so thank you, Matt, for that. I think it's $2.99 a month for basic membership. The point is that John Schneider, when he went out there, and you mentioned this to me, it may, who knows? There's a decent chance that John Schneider didn't want to do that move because, if the analytics are saying one thing or another and they made this decision before the game, John Schneider can't just call up Ross Atkins and say, hey, I'm not going to do this move. Ultimately, if you're working for someone and they tell you to do something, like you said, and you don't do it, I think John Schneider, his job right now is to take the flack for it. He knew that he would be the fall guy. And that being said, I don't think he's a good manager regardless, but I don't think they fire him. I don't think he's a good manager. I don't think he's a bad manager. I think he's a fine-ish manager. I just don't know, and we won't know whose decision this was. It was the analytic team, sure, but I don't know, Peter. I don't know who to blame here.
But
Shapiro's
but
not gonna.
how do we even know, Nick? I
Whoa.
mean, I want to ask you this as
It
as
could it
kind
could
of
be
a
John
follow
Schneider.
up.
It could be all John Schneider. It could.
How how do we know he's not a good manager? How many of these moves are already predetermined? Because to me, I mean, I'd like to think, as a guy who is a baseball lifer, and with Don Mattingly right by his side, who is another baseball lifer, I would like to think that they have a bit of a feel for the game. And those guys looking at the spreadsheet in the press box are maybe the ones that decided to make that move and said, Twins have a lot of lefties. We're going to go with this in this situation. And that's what ultimately happened. You could see the hesitation from John Schneider to come out of that dugout. He knew it wasn't going to be a popular move. He ate it. He ate it post game. He's the one that took the blame because ultimately he wants to keep his job, and you got to keep those above you happy. So I don't know. I really don't know who to blame here. I need to read up more on the situation. I need to hear more about the situation before I say this is all on John
Yeah.
Schneider. I'd like to blame one person in specific.
We
I'd like
can't
to
though. We
blame
can't.
just one person and be over with it, but I guarantee you there was a room full of people that made this decision and have no feel for the game, and that is ruining baseball as we speak right now.
Owen, you said predetermined by who? Who do you think will make the decisions? Just so you all are aware, and there was tweets about this as well. I'm sure most of you know this, but Keegan Matheson, everyone who's tuned in with the team, the coaches, the front office, and the front office's analytical people come together before a game, every single game, to go over strategies and whatever. Now, does that mean that the most likely scenario for this, we won't know, Peter? It could have been John Schneider just made the decision. It wouldn't really make a lot of sense. Or it could be that this was, I think in this case, the reason why people are upset, and the reason I said John Schneider is, whatever, a mid manager, I think there's a few times that he's made some questionable pinch hitting calls and things like that, but I'm not going to go into that right now. The analytic or whoever decided this needs to be held accountable. And it seems like it was a move that was made before the game without taking into account what Jose Barrios was doing out there. And people are mad at John Schneider for not putting his foot down and saying, why would we take Jose Barrios out? But that being said, if it was the front office that, I don't know, I'm almost done with this conversation because we'll never know. We might know. Ross Atkins might be questioned about this tomorrow.
I think we'll know pretty
and
soon.
Ross Atkins will
We'll
maybe,
know soon.
hopefully, and we'll have a video about that. But at the end of the day, until then, I still don't like John Schneider as a manager. I understand. I know you're a lot higher on him than I am. And again, we don't know whose decision it is. He's made a lot of questionable decisions that I think can be pointed back to him. But that being said, if we fire him, I don't see an immediate replacement that would be better. So I don't think there's a point of firing him. And there's other, jobs that would be more, interesting. But we don't know who it is. We won't know who it is. It's the management. Someone needs to be fired. Someone needs to be fired. I think that's a statement that we can make. We can both be confident in making. You tweeted it. Shout out Peter's tweet right here. John Schneider, whoever made his decision, needs to be fired. And it's true. But again, if it's Ross Atkins, not going to fire himself. Shapiro's staying. Shapiro is the leader of the renovations. There's no chance he goes. I doubt Ross Atkins leaves. So who's going to get the short end of the stick here? Usually it's the manager, but you can't fire 2 managers in 3 years. It's just not something that's going to happen. So Guillermo Martinez is all but gone. I'd put my money on it. And he should be. He's the horrible hitting coach.
And this is the way I see it, Nick. I'm just going to add one more point till we move on to another topic here. John Schneider, just lost my train of thought. Oh, no, I did not lose my train of thought. He's signed to a 3-year deal. And this was year 1 of a 3-year deal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy to move on, and they're still paying Charlie Montoyo for another season. So
Exactly.
what are you going to do? Pay 3 managers? You're going to pay 3 managers?
And
I'm not going to say that I'm high on John Schneider either. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he made a lot of boneheaded decisions, but ultimately I don't think this was his call, but that's beside the point. We got to acknowledge that a manager in baseball doesn't change much.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, the team still scored 0 runs. I still think that pitching decision did them in. I still think that demoralized the club, and they were rallying behind Jose Barrios, and they were going to get something going, and then the whole momentum was just sapped out of them. I truly believe that did them in, but they still scored 0.
Yeah, and let's touch on that now. Let's touch on the offense now because
that's not on John Schneider. Let's do it.
They can't hit the ball. And yesterday, there was no major, collapse or whatever, and they scored 1 run. There wasn't a John Schneider call to score 1 run. The whole year, John Schneider, he didn't make them stop hitting. Whoever, changed their approach, it was just a very unlucky year. I'm going to bring this up, the forbidden box score from the game.
Oh, God.
And I'll tell you one thing. We deserve to lose the series. Shout out to the Twins. Congratulations, to the Twins. Yeah. They're cool.
Yeah, congrats
decent team.
to them.
They deserved it. That being said, Matt, you got to think about baseball sometimes. It's probably the most cruel sport there is out there. Matt Chapman was literally this close from it being a 3-2 game for us. We didn't even give our best bullpen in baseball a chance to hold down a lead the entire series. The Twins' offense was, as bad as our offense was, the Twins' offense was only slightly better. They had 2 home runs from Royce Lewis. Aside from that, they didn't do anything in yesterday's game. Today they had the John Schneider masterclass, gifting them runs. Yusei Kikuchi coming in, and even then they had the bases loaded with no outs, and Carlos Correa coming up against Yusei Kikuchi and only scored two runs. So
Yeah, they didn't do much.
we should have won the game. We should have won the series if we could hit better, but I can't even say we should have because we didn't do it all year. So, and Varsho, like I said, poetic for him to end it, but the offense needs to be fixed. Peter, I don't know any immediate ways to fix it. We can talk about it, and this is going to be videos. We're going to have dozens of videos on it, tons of streams on it. Kiermaier, free agent, video on that coming very, very soon. He said some interesting things. Whit Merrifield, free agent, he's gone. Jordan Hicks, I want to re-sign Jordan Hicks, but like a lot of these guys, our team is going to look vastly different next year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a big-ish name traded. Brandon Belt's probably going to retire. There's no way he comes back. So, like, what can the Jays do to improve their offense? Cody Bellinger?
I'll
Mike
start.
Trout?
I'll start. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Mike Trout. We're dreaming here. We're dreaming here. Who are we going to trade to get Mike
Sign
Trout?
Peter Vryonis.
But,
Exactly.
I have a couple. Signed Peter. Yeah, maybe a couple years ago and 20 pounds ago as well. But yeah, when I look at the Jays farm system, I see. Get out of here, man. Get out of here. Put that down.
Better rentals
Put
here.
that down. But when I look at the Jays farm system, I see a lot of promising young hitters, and I see a Elvis Martinez who's really come into his own, who's only 21 years old. I want him playing third base every day next year for the Toronto Blue Jays.
I agree.
I see Addison Barger, a guy who's got
He needs some
phenomenal
more
plate
time,
discipline, phenomenal. He does need some more time, but play him. Play him. He
Yeah.
fits the timeline of this team. Belt is going to be gone, 35 years old. Kevin Kiermaier, what is he, 32, 33? Going to be gone. Whit Merrifield,
He's old
mid
too.
30s,
Yeah.
gone. Who else? I mean,
Brandon Belt's cooked. So
yeah, Brandon Belt's gone. Kiermaier's gone. Whit Merrifield. I mean, the list just goes on here, and you got a lot of guys that are not going to be back with the team. So see what you have in these young guys, because the young guys that you have right now haven't shown too much. So surround them with other guys and make them become leaders. Force them to become leaders. That's what I'm calling for. I mean, if you want to keep Vladdy and Bo around, force them to become the top dogs on the team, because right now they're surrounded by a lot of veterans, and I think the complementary pieces have been great for the Blue Jays. I think it was best case scenario as well. I mean, you look at the way Kiermaier played, the way Belt played, those guys were awesome.
Yeah.
With Merrifield too, for a pretty good stretch of the season, you got the most out of those guys. You didn't get enough out of Vladdy and Bo, and that's the problem. So if you make them do more, if you give them more leadership responsibility, I want to see how that turns out. And then if it doesn't work, then you blow it up. But I don't know what the immediate solution here is. It's
let's
tough to say.
Let's say positive again. Shout out to Let's Get Gaming for the donation earlier. I just want to shout that out again. Very appreciative. Peter, so we think about, and we'll have tons of streams about this, and it's going to get rumor time very, very soon, as in probably this week. We're going to see some crazy rumors. Looking at who we can sign and what, let's just begin. And everyone in here, all you Jays fans, and even if you're a Twins fan, congratulations. Peter, looking at next year, our starting rotation is going to be the same aside from one open spot, which is going to either be Alek Manoah or Ricky Tiedemann. So we should have the same, assuming similar performance, a very, very elite rotation. Mm-hmm. So that's a good foundation. The bullpen, assuming we re-sign Jordan Hicks, is the best in baseball. If we don't re-sign Jordan Hicks, top 5, top 10 in baseball. So we have a very good foundation. If we can figure out what the offense is, and let's also, I'm going to be playing optimistic Nick here. If Vladdy goes back to I think he'll regress in a positive direction. He'll progress and do some better hitting, maybe hit 275, 280, not be an MVP guy, but an 830 OPS. Like, there's so many things that went wrong this season that if they just go a bit better for the Jays, they'll be in a better spot. I know no one wants to hear that right now, but at the end of the day, the rotation is locked up. The bullpen is locked up. So we can make moves around that. And we also have the second best left-handed, borderline the best left-handed pitching prospect in baseball in Ricky Tiedemann, who's looking like he's going to be unbelievable. I'm pretty high on the Blue Jays for next year. The issue is, how do they fix the batting? Cody Bellinger is a realistic option. Teoscar Hernandez is also a very realistic option. Whether you guys like it or not, it's pretty realistic. Shohei Ohtani's not realistic. Mike Trout, That would be. I mean, it might. It might. It's possible. Very unlikely. And let's not think. Let's not forget about I don't know the names of the players that'll be coming from the KBO, but there's a lot of them, and we covered them in some of the videos. Fujinami is one. I think he's a pitcher. I get them all mixed up, but there's a couple of hitters coming in, so there's a lot of ways we can improve. But Peter, the step one is firing some people, and I think that's going to happen. But the
Yeah.
foundation is there. Nothing changes about our pitching or our bullpen, which is what we were amazing at. If our hitters just hit like they should be able to, I think we're a World Series team next year. But I don't even want to say that right now because 6 hours ago we got destroyed in a playoff game.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go that far, but yes, Cody Bellinger is a realistic option. It,
Should
it
have got him
almost
last year.
came to fruition this off. Yep, it almost came to fruition, but I'm still very happy with the way that Kevin Kiermaier performed for this team. But yes, Cody Bellinger would make a huge difference in this lineup. It would be a big offensive upgrade and just as good of a defensive player
Yeah,
in
if
center
if
field
not
as well.
better,
So
depending on how.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and it depends how Kevin Kiermaier ages, if he can stay healthy as well. But yeah, definitely, you got to go and make a big splash. The free agent class is not exactly loaded. The trade market is going to be open. There's going to be some guys out there, but I still want to see the youth movement just because your core is still fairly young, apart from a couple of guys. And I think you have the young pieces. I mean, look at the Twins. They beat the Blue Jays. They had three rookies in their starting lineup, and they utilized their entire roster. They had a very young team. They had a very young team with a couple of good veterans in Carlos Correa and and they just managed to sweep the Blue Jays. They killed them with a very young team and a team that really decided to I don't know, put it all together once the playoffs started. So yeah, give the young guys a chance. What do you have to lose at this point? I
nothing.
don't know.
And let's also.
I don't know. What do you think about giving the young guys a chance,
I'm
Nick?
good with Elvis. I think he should be our starting third baseman. I think Berger needs a bit more time. I think he could be a huge guy they're going for. I think the obvious option is Elvis, though. I think he's about as ready as you can be. I also think Tiedemann is going to be a guy that probably doesn't get the nod after spring training, depending on how Manoa does, but he's right there. He's getting more innings in the Arizona Fall League. And let me point something else out as well. And I tell this to my friends, and they make some comments about him here. I wouldn't mind hearing your thoughts about this. And everyone in here, shout out to the 200 plus for the late night stream. Hit the like button. We're on the, I don't know how many likes we have. Let's get to 50 likes. Peter, can we just put in the ground the notion that the Jays are going to even remotely shop Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? Because there is less of a chance that they shot. It's just never going to happen. Can you agree that we put that to rest? Because I don't think there might be, maybe there's some reports that come out or whatever, but there's no way they trade a generational hitting talent after a 780 OPS year. It makes no asset sense whatsoever. And I'm sure we'll have a video about some potential mock trades that someone makes up and we'll cover it. I just don't think that it's a realistic thing, and I don't think there's any way unless we get offered a absurd package and then they want to change the scenery. That's the only way. But
Yeah.
even then, like, you're not going to get an absurd package for Vladdy. And if you do, then maybe trade him. But I just don't think it's real. I know a lot of people are saying. I saw someone say they trade Alonso for Vladdy. You don't do that. There's no way you do that.
Yeah, no. And we also got to remember we're very hard on Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and I think it's for good reason as well, just because he has such high expectations and he's expected to be the guy for
Yep.
this Blue Jay team. And at times he is, at times he isn't. That's going to happen with young players, but we also got to remember that he is 24 years old and he does have elite talent. His bat speed is elite. His bat to ball skills are elite. He's got to make a few minor adjustments. He's got to pull the ball a little bit more. But yeah, I don't think you look to shop him. And obviously we've brought up the possibility just because of the rumors that we've seen floating around online. But I don't think you can bring yourself to do this. He's got 2 more years left of control. I think the Jays are biding their time here
Tough.
before they go out and sign him to an extension.
It's
And
tough.
you're in that gray
He
area
lost
now.
himself a lot of
You're
money
in
this
that
year.
gray area. He lost himself a lot of money, but if he comes and bounces back next year, he's going to make himself a lot of money because he's in his mid 20s and he's expected to be that generational guy. I think 2021 may have been an outlier power wise, but I don't think those numbers are out of the realm of possibility. And I'm talking about a 311 batting average, a 400 on base, and a 600 slug. I don't think those numbers are unattainable for him again because he's got that kind of talent. Will he be able to replicate that kind of season? Maybe, maybe not. But you gotta see it out if you're the Jays. But you also don't want to lose him for nothing. And you're kind of getting to that area right now where if you don't sign him to an extension, it might be wraps on that front.
which is crazy. And again, like,
And I want to address a comment here as well by Jay. Rogers is not cheap. The Blue Jays have the sixth or seventh highest payroll in all of Major League Baseball. They spent the money. They put all the chips on the table. This team just didn't work out for
who knows?
whatever
It's
reason.
still
You
it's
could
still a
call.
mystery as to why
I,
this.
I think they've done what they could like money wise.
Yeah,
They spent a ton of money.
and let's
They've
also
really spent on
let's
free
also
agents,
not.
and
I'll just
I
touch on
don't
a couple
agree
things.
with that at all.
There were some reports, and we touched on a video. They went for the Corey Seager. You know, they could have re-signed Semien, but like and there's a lot of players who may not want to come to Canada for whatever reason. So they put the money forward, and the Blue Jays, unlike Ben, I know you're in here, Raptors Digest. Unlike the Raptors, the Blue Jays are getting superstars to their team in free agency. So that's a big benefit we have. It's because of the diversity in the MLB, whatever. Superstars. Kevin Gosman is the main.
Superstars.
Let me rephrase that. Some top
Yes,
level
yes,
names.
yes.
Gosman, Springer was
Stars,
yeah,
stars.
yeah. Springer was a superstar when he when he signed, but now he's kind of washed a little bit. But the point is that we're spending the Jays what they're moving forward, what their moves are going forward. I don't know. I would suspect, maybe Teoscar Hernandez. Who knows? Maybe they do a big trade like they did last year. And we had the similar conversation last year when we obviously were a bit of a smaller channel, so less people probably heard about it. But we got Vershow in December, Christmas time of last year, which was a huge move. I'm still happy with that trade. And at the end of the day, the players need to perform. Vlad needs to step up. I 100% am on the train. As bad as he was this year, as bad as he was 6 hours ago when he got picked off at second or whatever, I'm 100% confident that he's going to have a much better year.
Can't trade him. No, I'm with you.
Yeah, well,
I'm
yeah.
with you.
A, they're not going to trade him. B, as he's going to have a better year next year. I just can't see a way that he doesn't. That being said, Bo Bichette is probably maybe a guy that gets extended this summer. Or this winter, this offseason. I think if anyone gets extended, is Bo Bichette, because at this point, you're not going to extend Alek Manoah, you're not going to extend Vladdy. Extend Bo. I think Bo wants to be here. Obviously, Bo has his faults as well. But at the end of the day, I think Bo is a guy that you can build your team around. Can he be the best player on a World Series team? We don't know if anyone on this team right now can be the best player on the World Series team. But extend Bo. Make a big trade. If Mike Trout becomes available, I'm kind of on the train that depending on what his cost is, you just go for him, because why not go for him? Other than that, maybe sign. There's Yamamoto too. I don't know which one's the hitter. Sign a couple of the hitters. Shohei Ohtani is still on the table as well. Shohei Ohtani, not to
Yeah.
really talk it, because this might not be a realistic possibility. It will be a headline of a lot of videos because that's the way that rumor mills work with the Blue Jays. And realistically, the Blue Jays are one of maybe 5 or 6 teams that have a realistic shot at landing him. You think about some of the other teams. I think the Jays have a really good shot at landing him if they go for it. We almost had him before he signed with the Los Angeles poverty franchise Angels. Unfortunately, we won't know that for a while, and we cannot rely on Shohei Ohtani. But Kevin Kiermaier made an interesting comment about his, signing. So check out the video. That's either tomorrow or the next day. Like, the gist of it is, Ohtani signing is going to dictate a lot of the other free agency moves. I'd suspect, like
Yeah.
in basketball, like everything, dominoes are going to fall after him. And if somehow we manage to get Ohtani, this is crazy. It's probably not going to happen, but I don't know. It would. There's a path. There's
And
a
another
light.
another
Go
thing,
ahead.
another thing with Otani. Sorry, Nick. He's not going to pitch next season.
No. Which
He's
is
not gonna
fine.
pitch,
Get him
so
anyway. I don't
maybe-
care. Grab him.
Yeah, no, but maybe he wants a prove it deal. Maybe he wants a year or 2,
3 years, 150 million.
just to,
Give
just
it
to
to him.
get just to get healthy again. And who knows? He's going to be 30 next year. He might not want to take that kind of risk because he's still in line to make a big amount of money. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely on the table. I wouldn't say the Jays are really in on him
We don't know yet.
necessarily. I'm sure he wants to stay on.
Yeah.
I'm sure he wants to stay on the West Coast.
would think
But
so, too.
also Mike Trout. I mean, he's probably going to want out of LA as well. That's a huge contract though to take on, especially for a guy that's always hurt. But when he is in the lineup, is unbelievable. Look, there's a ton of possibilities. There's a ton of avenues towards making this team
I mean,
better.
Not
but the guys
good.
that are here, I don't think they're going to get like an upgrade that is better than the best players that they have right now. And that just shows me that the guys that are here right now that are expected to be the top dogs need to be
Yeah,
the top
we
dogs.
discussed it at the deadline how the biggest addition is the team within itself, and realistically though, I think they do change
D-Ron.
something because if you rewind last year this time, we knew they were probably going to make a move, but it's kind of the same spot that they were in now. It's just underperforming all the way around, and we ultimately traded two core pieces ish in Teoscar and Lourdes for Varsho. So the front office is not scared of making moves, and I think they make a crazy move this offseason. Yeah, I really do. I believe that. I don't know what it is, and crazy can be a Cody Bell. I think the definition of crazy. Cody Bellinger would be considered big signing. A trade for Trout would be huge. Otani is probably. Someone asked, "Do you think the Jays have a possibility?" I mean, they have a possibility. I'd say he probably stays in the West Coast. But I mean, there's always a possibility, and we'll definitely be making videos about it because it's a fun thing to discuss. And I don't know, it's always you guys
Yeah.
love to hear that. Peter Teoscar wouldn't be an offensive. I mean, Teoscar realistically, he said he kind of would be open to come back to Toronto. That's a realistic possibility. But do the Jays want him back? He would be a guy we could use. I'd rather Bellinger. Obviously, Bellinger has the chance to fall back off, but like I don't know. There's a lot to discuss. All of it can't be done tonight.
Mhm.
It can be done in videos. Again, like I kept saying, the content is going to be crazy because we have so much to talk about. And as bad as the loss is, we have some stuff to look forward to. And Peter, if we would have made the wild card round, then get swept by the Astros or whatever, we would have been having a similar conversation. But if anything, getting swept in the wild card round again, not winning a playoff game in 8 years or whatever it is, or 9 years, changes are going to happen. There's no way they run the same team back, and they're forced to make
Yeah.
changes because of the free agency. They have holes to fill, and if they run Espinal and Biggio out there, they know no one's going to like that. So I think Aurelvis Martinez is in there, and I think they make one splash ish. But Mike Trout would cost a lot too, so I don't know.
Yeah,
He'd make sense
and
though.
another thing, Nick, is that a lot of you, all 205 of you in here right now, might not want to hear this, but the Jays losing in this kind of fashion might have been the best thing for them. And it sucks to say that in this current moment in time, but sometimes you got to take a step back to take two steps forward, or I don't know if that's the saying. Is
Yeah,
it two steps
that's right.
back to take a step forward?
So one of
Two
them.
steps back? Whatever. Well, you know what I mean. Sometimes you gotta step backwards and really look at yourself in the mirror, and then you can go out and make those changes that are necessary. And we said it earlier on in this live stream. We've been saying this over the course of the season, Nick. This core has had their opportunity to show who they really are, and today and yesterday they did that. They showed what they're really made of. And what they're made of is not much. I mean, there's no backbone on this team, and it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because the talent is undeniable, and it's definitely there. It's good enough to be at the top when we're looking at all the other teams. But just mm, they're missing that it factor that those past Jays teams
And
had, the World
I mean,
Series
we
winning
had
teams
no
and
home
the
runs.
2015 teams.
We had no extra base hits, or we had one double from Vladdy, I
One
think.
extra base hit,
And at the end of the
one extra
day,
base hit in 2 games.
there was no, exciting moments really. They were painful moments, and you hope in postseason baseball
No,
anything can happen.
at no time in those 2 games did they feel close.
One
Like
second
no
when
time.
Matt Chapman hit that ball, I thought it was a fair ball. I almost exploded, and then he hit into a double play. That was the only time where I felt a bit of happiness that game. And ultimately, we love baseball. We love the Jays, and as painful as it is, I mean, we love the team, and and like any sport, there's a lot of pain that comes before winning, and unfortunately, let's just be. No one's gonna want to hear this. Let's be semi grateful that we're a competitive team every year since 2020 ish. Like we're competitive. We're not gonna be horrible, but let's hopefully make some changes going forward because the front office has some work to do, and they need to look in the mirror a little
Right.
bit and fix something. David Schneider is a guy we also have to talk about. Like there's prospects to talk about, Peter. There's moves to talk about. The next week of videos are gonna be pretty heavy, and they're gonna be focused on what the players have been saying about this because like last year this was devastating. It was heartbreaking, and it was a huge collapse like a year ago. We called it a collapse in the video. Peter, you were at the game. You saw the collapse live a year ago. Now,
Oh,
shout
it
out. Yeah.
was it was a
And it's a
collapse.
similar
It
thing. It
was a
wasn't as
collapse.
bad. It was arguably worse, depending on which way you kind of go with it. But I don't know. I'm sad, but I think I'm more. I'm not excited, but I'm optimistic about the future because it's only up from here in theory. It's only up from here unless we miss the playoffs next year.
It might not be. It might not be. And
We'll have you
I
covered
wouldn't
either
say
way.
I'm excited. Yeah, we will.
A
We will.
lot, a lot of videos coming. It's gonna be wild.
That's for certain. But I wouldn't say I'm excited. I'm more curious.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see what they do, and I'm wondering if they're going to have the metal to go ahead and make those tough moves.
I
That's what
agree.
I want to know. Are you gonna sit back there and be complacent? Are you gonna try to run it back with some minor additions, or are you gonna go full blow it up mode? And I'm not talking about like releasing Alec Manoah or trading Vladdy or doing anything crazy like that. I'm talking, are you gonna do a complete overhaul of the hitting staff? Are you gonna be doing a complete overhaul of the front office, of the coaching staff? I don't know, something to shake up this team because they've tried over and over and over again with the same guys. And yeah, they're like the Leafs of
Yeah,
baseball, like sometimes something's got to give, and you could only do the same thing so many times before it's labeled as insanity. And look, I think one more year, maybe one more year of a similar ish roster with some big changes in the coaching staff and all that, with like one or two big additions in the players. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see if anything major is going to happen, or if we're going to be fed the same hopeless or hopeful optimism by Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro, who do such a great job of that. By the way, they make you feel like this Jays team is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they end up falling flat on their faces in the playoffs.
yeah. And Peter, I think we'll wrap it up there now. It's
Yeah,
I'm in Newfoundland, so it's almost
it's
1:30.
late.
It's almost 1:30 for me. It's 1:15. I'm gonna get some food now. Before we do go, shout out everyone, and Peter, I'll let you have a word as well in a second. But like we said at the end of our video, it's nice to do it live as well. Shout out to everyone who's in here. I mean, your support has been the reason that we do it every single day. Um, Even the
Yeah.
donations to everything, and we're getting a lot of support on our video from earlier today. Go check it out. It was probably the most fun video me and Peter ever made. It was just a pure rant, nothing too serious, and it was sad, but I don't know, Peter. It's I will say that we're gonna have a lot of videos specifically over the next week because Ross Atkins is gonna come out and speak very very soon, and then after this week, it's pretty quiet until winter meetings is really the next big thing. There'll be rumors in November. Who knows if trades
Mhm.
happen, but we'll be going hard for the next week or two, and then from there we'll still be doing almost daily videos just on a bunch of stuff. We'll have more streams for you guys, so it's gonna be an enjoyable off season whether whether the Jays won or not, but stay tuned. Lots of videos coming, especially this week. And Peter, any thoughts or any quick words for the fans before I go get some food? I haven't eaten
Yeah.
since earlier tonight, but we didn't know how this live stream was going to go. Shout out everyone in here, over 200 people we had, and it's we're going to be going live a lot more like we did last off season. If anyone was there for a
Yeah.
Christmas Eve stream last year, it was electric. But
Mhm.
any thoughts to the fans or the supporters, to the Blue Jays, anything you want to show out there before we wrap it up, and to see you guys in tomorrow video. We're probably going to have 2 videos tomorrow.
Yeah, this was fun, guys, and none of this is possible without you. You make it all worth it. We love each and every one of you. We read every comment. We read all the good comments, all the bad comments, and we're there for all of it. And like I said before, nothing is possible without you guys. You make this all worth it, and all the support that you pour in. It's very gratifying. We do put in a lot of work to this, but we also get rewarded by you guys with all your nice comments and with all your interaction, and we've built a community here, and I'm still kind of at a loss for words in a sense. I can't believe that we get to call this thing our own, and it's
Fun.
amazing, Nick. It's truly
And let's
amazing.
also
And as for Lionheart's question, I'll just answer this. He's asking us, who do we got here in the rest of the playoffs. I'm going to go with the Phillies. I want the Phillies
sure.
to win. I
I'm
love that roster.
I think the
So
Braves
yeah,
win. I'm going for the Astros or the Diamondbacks, not the Astros. The Diamondbacks. They got a
the
couple.
Astros,
No, they
dude.
got a couple foreign
I was
chairs.
gonna
All the best to
say,
you
man,
boys. I'm watching off season. Yeah, and if you're unfamiliar, again, like I said earlier,
appreciate it.
this off season we'll have tons of videos, obviously, but more streams as well during the off season. And yeah, shout out to everyone. Thanks for fun 2023. And Rob, that's what I meant to say. We're gonna get through it together. As sad as it is, at least we, as cliche as it sounds, at least we have each other as Jays fans to get through it. Because I know that if we weren't doing this, Peter, it would be
That's
a
right.
lot harder for us to take the good side of things. Just have a joint P Canadian legal agreement, relax you, go for it. All right, guys, girls, everyone, take it easy
Going to be
and
a long off season. It's going to be a long off season, but we're going to have you covered
yeah,
every step of the way. It's going to feel a lot longer in the next couple of days here, just because there's still baseball going on. But
10,000
yeah,
subscribers before Christmas. Let's make it happen. You heard it here first. Let's go for it. It's a huge milestone. It's been our milestone for a while now, and turn on your notifications because tomorrow is going to be a pretty eventful day. And thank you guys, and we'll have a live stream very soon. Diamondbacks got swept too. Diamondbacks advanced, I believe. Shane, I believe they advanced, but thank you for they swept. Yeah, thank you for watching, and I can't say go Jays like go Jays. So we'll just see you guys on the bright side of it tomorrow, bright and early.
go
Thank
Jays
you.
Digest.
Yeah, go Jays
Go
Digest
Jays
and
Digest.
John Schneider. We'll see if he has a job.